comes from Osho. Take life easily, lovingly, playfully, non-seriously. Seriousness is a disease, the greatest disease of the soul, and playfulness the greatest health. So the question goes like this. It is easy to say that don't take things seriously, and that seriousness comes from fear. Even you have said that fear is our primary motivator, and to get work done, fear is often used by others. But we don't know any other way of living. How to make sense of what Osho is saying? I'll repeat what the quoted statement says. Take life easily, lovingly, playfully, non-seriously. Seriousness is a disease, the greatest disease of the soul, and playfulness the greatest health. What is meant by seriousness, first of all? It's important to understand this because another contemporary mystic, J. Krishnamurti, was a great advocate of this word, seriousness. He would often say that we need to be very serious. And Osho says seriousness is a disease. In fact, Osho has gone on to say that the only thing that he doesn't quite like about J. Krishnamurti is that Krishnamurti is quite serious. We need to understand what these two mean by this word, and why does Osho say that seriousness is such a great disease, not only great, the greatest disease of the soul. Why does he say so? When Krishnamurti says serious, he means sincere. He means a particular commitment towards the truth. It is in this sense that he uses the word serious. When he says we all need to be very serious in inquiring, in seeking what is going on in the world, he doesn't mean to suggest that we need to be heavy or loaded or gloomy. All he means to communicate is sincerity, and sincerity means a certain earnestness, a certain honesty, a certain dedication. It means that you are not divided. It means that if you are saying that you want to know, you actually want to know. It is not that you are just pretending. Do you get this? That is what he means by seriousness. By seriousness, he means that you mean it. Do you mean it, or are you just talking? Is sitting here just a pretext for you, just a time pass, or are you here with a very deep intention to really understand, really change? Do you get this? That's how he uses the word seriousness. Whereas when Osho uses the word seriousness, it has a totally different connotation. So the difference is in the connotation, not in the intention. The funny thing with language is that the same word can be used to point towards two very different things. Exactly the same is happening with the word seriousness here. When Osho disparages seriousness, he is condemning the attitude of the mind to be associated with something and to have great expectations or great fear from it. That is seriousness, not sincerity here. Please see, when the mind gets associated with something and starts having great hope or great fear with respect to it, that is the seriousness that Osho is condemning as the greatest disease. Yes? Now why does the mind do that? We come to the crux of the question now. Why does the mind do that? Why does the mind have expectations or fear from something. It happens when, due to the various process of gathering knowledge, due to the whole thing about conditioning, you begin to feel as if your essence is a thing of this world. Whenever you have looked at this world, you have seen things appear and disappear. And if you start feeling that your essence, that which you really are, is also a thing, you immediately come to the conclusion that you too will disappear one day, just as everything else in this world disappears. You haven't ever seen anything that has permanence or stability. Whenever you have looked, you have only looked at change, impermanence and dissolution. You fear the same happening to you. Do you get this? Now, with that fear that I will pass away, you start holding on to things. You start clutching. And when you clutch at something with the expectation that it will give you a deep innermost security, then your clutching has seriousness. Do you see this? Great expectations, great seriousness. Similarly, when you are running away from something, thinking that that thing might take away your innermost, then your running, then your escape has a certain intensity. That intensity is seriousness. Now, obviously, it is not intensity that Osho is condemning. He is condemning the feeling, the assumption, the hypothesis that something can come to you, invade you and rob you of your innermost. Similarly, he is calling the feeling that you can gain the essential from something outside of yourself as a lie. The more you think that you lack something, the more viciously, the more intensely you will clutch something outside of you. The more you are convinced of your own completeness, the less will be your tendency to be serious about affairs outside of you. Are you getting this? Yes? From where does this fearlessness come? The question is, we only know fear as the motivator, we do not know any other way of living. It is great if you know only this way of living. Now you have nothing else to blame. You have known only one way of living, and that way of living has been no good. It hasn't given you any kind of relaxation. Had you lived in two different ways, then blame could have been tossed about. Then you could have said, oh, probably this is not responsible, that way is responsible. You have known only one way of living, which means that if you have problems, if you have anxiousness, only that way of living is responsible. Right? Right? If you have known only one way, and that way is doing you no good, why don't you just give it up? Does it require great spirituality to know this? Is it not commonsensical? Fear is our motivator. Fear is our motivator only when we feel that that which should have been here is outside as a motive, and I need to reach that motive. Accustomed to one way of living, it becomes difficult to think of any other way. When I am saying all this, kindly do not start conceptualizing or fantasizing what the other way of living would be like. The other way of living cannot be predetermined, so you will not be able to think about it sitting here as you are. That's a very, very common mistake. Don't commit it again. See, what happens is we come to see that this is false. But if this is false, this goes. If this goes, then there is an emptiness. We cannot tolerate emptiness. We want to fill it up with something. So we start dreaming of what will fill it up. And that which will really fill it up is beyond dreams, is beyond conceptualization. So we find nothing that can fill it up. Hence, what do we say? If there is nothing else that can fill it up, let me then rather continue with that which already is. So we do not change. That which we are continues simply because we start imagining what will happen after the change. After the change, your imaginations themselves will be no more valid. So how can you then imagine? Why do you even try this cleverness? Drop without expecting the next thing. Whatever is there, ready and fit to be dropped, drop it without bothering about what will come next. Whatever deserves to come next has already come. That is why you are now empowered to drop that which is rotten.
Die before death.
Don't put it in popular proverbs, because they have been with you since very long and they haven't helped you. All these clever adages, have they helped you? So don't try to compare what I am saying with what you already know and then come to some kind of a fix. People often do that. Okay, so what you are saying is similar to chapter 3 of the Gita. You have always known chapter 3 of the Gita, and if that hasn't helped you, how will this help? So listen without comparison, please. Now where was I? That's what comparison does. Let's say you have a bruise on the skin. And immediately, to take care of it, what appears is a clot. That clot solidifies in some time and it acts as a protection over the wound. You know, that's the purpose of the clot, right? Yes. Now, when does that clot come off on its own? When the wound is healed, then the clot finds it suitable to be dropped, and it gets dropped on its own. Even if you don't touch it, you will wake up one morning and find that it has, withered away, just like a leaf drops from a tree. Similarly, it has outlived its utility. It's gone. Are you getting it? Now don't ask what will come when this clot will go away, because only when the new has already arrived, does the old go away. So the going away of the old does not require the question, what will come next? What is to come next has already come. Beneath the clot is there already a layer of fresh pink skin, and that is why the clot can now go away. Let the clot go away. But if you hold it and you say, no, I cannot let it go away because its substitute has not yet arrived. And if you look at it, you will find no substitute. Because where is the substitute? Beneath it. So you will not find any substitute, and you will say, I cannot let it go away, I cannot drop it. Let it go. The substitute has arrived. That's why it is going. Let it go.